Hello everyone, and welcome back to Rewilding the Future. Today we're heading into one of the wildest and most mysterious mountain ranges on Earth, the Caucasus, to meet the last leopards of Europe, the Persian leopards of the Caucasus. These big cats once roamed across huge parts of southern Europe and West Asia. Today, only a tiny remnant survives, clinging on in rugged cliffs and deep forests along the border between Europe and Asia. If we could go back in time a few thousand years, Europe would look very different. In the Mediterranean hills and mountains, from the Balkans and Greece through Turkey and all the way into the Caucasus, leopards were part of the natural fauna. They hunted wild goats and sheep, deer, wild boar, and smaller prey, sharing the landscape with lions, tigers, brown bears, wolves, and even hyenas and cheetahs in earlier periods. Over centuries, as human populations grew, forests were cleared, and livestock replaced wild herbivores. Leopards were pushed into the wildest corners. They were poisoned, shot as vermin, and their prey was overhunted. By the 20th century, the leopard had disappeared from most of Europe, surviving only in a few remote pockets of the Caucasus Mountains. Today, these survivors belong to one subspecies, the Persian leopard, Panthera pardus tulliana, the last wild leopards of Europe. So where are they now? The remaining Persian leopards of Europe are scattered across the Caucasus ecoregion, in parts of Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and southern Russia, with connected populations further south in northern Iran and a few individuals in eastern Turkey. In this whole Caucasus region, scientists estimate there are only about 40 to 60 leopards left, fragmented into small, isolated groups separated by roads, villages, and valleys. If we zoom out to their entire range, from the Caucasus across Iran, Turkmenistan, Pakistan, and a few other countries, the wild Persian leopard population is thought to be around 750 to 1,100 individuals, with maybe 450 to 600 mature adults. That's all that remains of what was once a widespread and powerful predator. For a big cat that needs huge territories and healthy prey populations, this is a very dangerous situation. One disease outbreak, one conflict hotspot, or a few bad years of poaching can be enough to crash a local population. The Persian leopards of the Caucasus live in a mosaic of habitats: temperate broadleaf and mixed forests, rocky slopes and cliffs, subalpine meadows and deep ravines. They move silently through steep, broken terrain where humans have a hard time walking, let alone building roads. Here they hunt, bezoar goats and wild sheep in the cliffs, red deer and roe deer in forested valleys, wild boar and smaller mammals as apex predators. They help keep herbivore numbers in balance, indirectly protecting forests and mountain ecosystems from overgrazing and browsing. When these leopards disappear, it's not just a spotted cat we lose. We risk losing the entire ecological balance of these mountain systems. So what pushed the leopard to the edge of extinction in Europe? Forests have been cleared for agriculture, roads, and development. What used to be continuous wild mountain habitat is now broken into small islands. Leopards can't easily move between them, which means isolated groups, inbreeding, and a higher risk of local extinction. Historically, leopards were seen as dangerous predators and competitors for livestock. They were shot, trapped, and poisoned. Even today, illegal killing still happens, sometimes in retaliation for attacks on sheep or goats. When humans overhunt wild ungulates like deer, wild goats, and boar, leopards have less to eat. Hungry leopards are more likely to take livestock, which then creates more conflict with local communities. With so few animals left, every single leopard matters. A road, a new ski resort, or a badly placed development project can block movement or destroy critical habitat for the last breeding individuals. The good news is, people are fighting hard to save them. Across the Caucasus, conservation organizations, scientists, and governments are working together under a Strategy for the Conservation of the Leopard in the Caucasus ecoregion and national action plans in Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Georgia. Some key actions include legal protection. The leopard is strictly protected by law, listed on CITES Appendix Burns and under the Berne Convention. Hunting and trade are banned. Protected areas and eco-corridors. New national parks and reserves have been created or expanded in southern Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Georgia. And there is active work on eco-corridors that connect habitats across borders so leopards and their prey can move more freely. Monitoring and camera traps. Conservation teams and volunteers use camera traps, spoor tracking, and genetic analysis to estimate leopard numbers, find new individuals, and identify key areas that need protection. Anti-poaching and community work. Rangers are trained and equipped to combat poaching, while NGOs work with local herders on better livestock protection, and, in some places, exploring compensation schemes for losses to leopards. Reducing conflict is crucial if these cats are going to survive in landscapes where people also need to live. Beyond simply protecting the last survivors, there is also a bold idea: reintroducing leopards to parts of the Caucasus where they've disappeared. In Russia, a major reintroduction effort began in 2007, the Persian leopard restoration program in the western and northern Caucasus. A breeding and rehabilitation center was created in Sochi National Park, where Persian leopards from zoos in Iran, Turkmenistan, and Europe were brought together to form a breeding population. Young leopards raised there are taught to hunt and avoid humans, and then released into the wild. In 2016, 3 Persian leopards, Akin, Kili, and Victoria, became the first captive raised leopards released into the wild in the western Caucasus, near Sochi. In 2018, 2 more leopards, Volna and Elbrus, were released into Alania National Park in North Ossetia. The goal is to rebuild a breeding population in the Russian Caucasus and eventually link it with wild leopards in the southern Caucasus and Iran, creating a more connected, more resilient population across the whole region. European zoos like Attica Zoological Park in Greece and Parc des Félins in France are also part of the breeding network that supports this reintroduction work, showing how European institutions can contribute to restoring Europe's own lost predator. Looking forward, if these projects succeed, there could be opportunities to reintroduce leopards into other suitable mountain areas in the wider region, always carefully with strong local support, healthy prey populations, and science-based planning. Now let's go one step further and think about rewilding. If the Caucasus leopard recovery succeeds, it opens a big question for the future. Could leopards one day return beyond the Caucasus, to other wild mountain landscapes in Europe where they once roamed, or where the habitat is still suitable? Across the continent, there are large, rugged regions that are already home to wolves, bears, and lynx, and where land is being abandoned by people and slowly returning to nature. Places like the Balkan Mountains, from the Dinaric Alps to the wild ranges of the former Yugoslav countries, the Pindus Mountains of Greece, where steep canyons, forests, and wild goats could support a secretive big cat, the Carpathians in Romania and Slovakia, already one of Europe's strongest strongholds for wolves, bears, and lynx, and even some of the wilder, depopulated landscapes of the Iberian Peninsula, where large herbivores are coming back through rewilding projects. In theory, all of these regions offer parts of what leopards need: wild, mountainous habitat with cliffs, forests, and ravines, healthy prey, red deer, roe deer, wild boar, chamois, ibex, wild goats, and sometimes even semi-wild cattle or horses, and enough space for a low-density population of big cats to live mostly out of sight of humans. But rewilding leopards to these areas would be a long-term vision, not something that happens tomorrow. It would only make sense if several conditions are met. Caucasus populations are stable and growing. You need a strong source population before thinking about new sites. Local support. Communities, farmers, and governments in the Balkans, Carpathians, Greece, or Iberia would have to be on board. Without that, any reintroduction is doomed. Prey and habitat first. Restoring wild herbivore populations and protecting large connected areas of habitat is the foundation. The leopard should be the last piece, not the first. Clear benefits for local people. Ecotourism, jobs as rangers and guides, and fair systems for livestock protection and compensation if conflicts happen. If these conditions are met, then in 10, 30, 50, or even 100 years from now, we could imagine a Europe where wolves howl in the forests of Slovakia, bears roam the Carpathians, lynx stalk the Iberian mountains, Asiatic lions roar again in Europe, and leopards once again move like ghosts through the rocky ridges of the Balkans and Greece. It's a bold idea. It will be controversial. But rewilding is about restoring missing pieces of the ecosystem. Not just plants and herbivores, but also the great predators that shaped Europe's nature for hundreds of thousands of years. So the big question is not only, can we bring leopards back? It's also, what kind of Europe do we want in the future? A quieter, tamed continent, or a wilder one where big cats still exist? So why does it matter? Saving the Persian leopards of the Caucasus is about much more than a single species. They are Europe's last leopards, a living link to the time when the continent still had lions, hyenas, and cheetahs. As apex predators, they help maintain ecological balance, shaping herbivore behavior and protecting forests and mountain landscapes. Culturally, leopards appear in local myths, art, and stories across the Caucasus. Losing them means losing a part of the region's identity. If we lose them now, Europe will lose its last wild leopard, and the Caucasus will lose a key part of its natural soul. In this video, we've looked at the last leopards of Europe, the Persian leopards of the Caucasus. Their ancient history, their tiny remaining population, the threats they face, the ambitious conservation projects trying to save them, and a long-term rewilding vision that could, one day, see leopards return to the Balkans and other wild European mountains. What do you think? Should Europe invest more in bringing back its lost big cats, like leopards, to carefully chosen, suitable habitats in the Caucasus and Balkans? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Europe's last leopards, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode of Rewilding the Future.